Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. So in today's episode, our objective is to strip down as much as we can all the broken bits from the Tesla and to get it on all four wheels rolling, because I want to check that the drive is working. So that's the most important objective, if anything, that we want to be able to do. So let's get on to it and let's start stripping down the car. Right, okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to get this wheel off so we can take a look and see what's going on behind here on the suspension. And once we do that, we're going to get this wing off so we can just check to make sure that everything's aligned, and then start to take all the front apart so that we get all the damaged parts off and we can get those ready. So let's jack the car up first and then let's get that wheel off. Right, so you can clearly see where the knuckle here has broken, but other than that and this sway bar, that's where the damage is on here. The steering arm looks okay. You can see the end of the sway bar here, and there's the ball joint just here. This bar here has broken, so we need to replace that, but this one here is fine. So I can see the bolt underneath, that's fine. The suspension arm is fine as well. Even the casing on it, it's got a little bit of a dent here. That could be where the wheel, where it was pushed into it. But other than that, I just stripped down the holes to see if there's any other damage on here. There's a little dent here, but it does seem to escape the majority of it. Oh, but basically it's just the outer shell here. It hasn't touched your suspension other than that. But I probably will end up replacing this just to be on the safe side. The top of the bar here is absolutely fine. That's not suffered any ill effect. But surprisingly, this is the dust shield. This I'm keeping. The reason being is that these are really expensive. They're £273 to replace this undershield. So you bet your bottom dollar I am going to make sure that we save that, because I'm not going to replace that. Good. Okay, so that's not bad. The hub here, that feels okay, but I'm going to check it, because in the past when I've had this, like on the Golf, it sounded okay, but it wasn't, and I ended up replacing it anyway. So I'll probably end up replacing this hub just to be just to give me some peace of mind. But actually not too bad. The whole thing is in a good place. That fan you can hear is the coolant fan for the AC, and that fluid as well is just water, because it pumps fluid through. The fluid isn't leaking, I guarantee you that, but as it charges, which is what it's doing now, it pumps coolant through to keep the batteries cool. So that's what that noise is. And this is the dreaded battery that is hidden. Right, okay, so that's that off. We're now going to take this wing off, and then we can then take, because the body shop want to use this as a reference, as well as the paint, so they can get the fleck right, because it's metallic. So we'll take that off and we'll take that to them. Right, so that's the wing off, and from what I can see, and I'm no expert, but there is absolutely no damage to the chassis whatsoever. The leg is really straight. I mean really straight, straighter than a straight edge, and there's absolutely no indentation or anything. So why was this a Cat S? I suppose it was a Cat S because they saw this damage and then they put it down, but the leg itself is not damaged. It's not damaged in the slightest. There's no damage on the hair. This is where the impact occurred. Even in this crossbar here, So I thought maybe this might be damaged, and so we'll probably have to take the car to the body shop, but it's not. It's absolutely fine. Look at this. Look at that. Absolutely fine. So this car should not have been categorized as a category S. There should have been a Cat N. That's a shame. But anyway, I don't plan to sell this, so it's not really a problem as such, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's just been given a label that the car doesn't deserve. That's my only thinking. Okay, fine. So we'll work on getting this knuckle off here so we can release that, release the steering, and then we'll then take this off and we'll get that replaced. But these, not too bad, they're about 30 quid. These, they're about 130 pound. Yeah, piece of metal, 130 quid. If it was an Audi part, it'd be a lot cheaper. But this is Tesla here, so Tesla territory. But at least there's no more damage there than I thought it would be, so that's good to see. Good, okay. Right, so the plan today is to see if we can get this car here rolling. And I think the first thing we're going to tackle is we're going to remove this broken hub and start the preparation to get a new one. So I think we're going to disconnect all the front here, so that, well, we're going to need to get rid of the bumper. So we'll take the old bumper off, we'll take all the old ancillaries off and everything, and then that will free all this up. We'll remove this radiator because it is busted and the fluid has escaped, and I've got a replacement one as well, so we will get that on, and then we'll look at getting this subframe. But the first thing that I think I want to do is, once we get this front off, is to get this car on all fours. That's quite important. So why don't we start off by doing that? Yes. Okay, so let's get this radiator off, and here we go. That's off. Just to show you that it's got no gas on it. Let's get the nut first. Don't want to lose that. Here we go. Okay. There's clearly no gas in there, otherwise it would have been escaping now. There we go. Yeah, so I knew that it was empty, but there's proof, just to show you guys that I am very environmentally conscious and I'm not just going to vent gas out into the air. So I knew that anyway, because when I was in the car and turned the AC on, nothing was coming on, so I knew it was empty. But that just confirms it. Right, let's get the other bit off. Okay, so just taking the front out, which is the front of the car, and once you do that, that reveals all of this stuff underneath. Now, it might look really complicated, but actually this is a really simplistic car. I'll take you through all the bits. So this is your ABS pump. This here is your brake vacuum pump. So that's what creates the vacuum. Well, actually, it's the vacuum pump that basically allows the brake vacuum over there to work, I believe. This here is one of two pumps. You've got this pump here and this pump here, and they pump the coolant to keep the batteries cool. And over there you've got a splitter, so that basically splits the water to where it needs to go, because it also obviously heats the water to heat the cab. At the back there you've got a AC to DC converter. I can't remember which one's which. And then here we have the HVAC, so that's the AC compressor, and that of course has an electric motor on it instead of being driven by the engine. And then here we have the electric motor for the power steering. Simple. And that is it. Oh, and here, this is the compressor for the suspension. And then we've got another pump over there. So it's quite simplistic in terms of the technology in the car. Once you get your head around it, you see how it's easier to maintain than a conventional engine, because no engine. These bits last quite a long time, if not forever, because they're not suffering the same wear and tear that a combustion engine is, with explosions happening every millisecond. You can understand why these engines eventually wear out. But with electric motor, no such thing. Right, let's continue with the strip down. We had to take the front out so we can get to these bolts here, so we can remove this bar. Once we remove this crash bar, we can then get to the rest of the bits. So let's continue. Right, hub time. Let's get this hub off so we can then change this bar here, which is going to be a toughie because this is torqued on. This should come off pretty quickly, and this should come off, and then we'll separate the brake disc and get a new one offered up. Right, problem number one. This is slightly different to this. As you can see, this is a modified version. This is a newer fit. It's exactly the same. It fits on here. The sensor's in exactly the same place. The main difference is that these bolts are too big. So when you put them down, they only go down to so far. So we need to get some shorter bolts. So I got a specialist who I can go to. So we're going to do that in a second. Let's get this bolt off and get this arm off, and then we can get a new one in place. Right, that was in. That was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Obviously you can see it's got a pivot, so it goes in and out, which adjusts the camber. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to get that lined up. And I know a lot of these dealers will kind of probably say to me, "Ooh, we don't do Teslas." So we'll see how we get on with that anyway. Right, let's get this bolt sorted. So basically we need a shorter one of these to offer up in here. I know how much shorter I need. It needs to be about 2 centimeters shorter. So let's see what we can do. Right, bolts are in, and the bolts that we actually got for this were from a BMW, because unbeknown to many of you, Tesla, particularly the Model S, borrowed parts from different cars, and we'll go through this through a different episode. So we're going to put this on, but we're only going to put this on temporary because I'm going to have to get a new drop link, because this hub here is different to the old hub. On the old hub, the drop link goes on the side. On the new hub, it goes behind. So what that means is I'm going to have to take this off again to put the drop link in. But in the meantime, what I want to do is get this fitted so we can at least get the car moved, or see if we can get the car moved. That's the object or the goal. So we'll put this on out the drop link, but we will be putting it back in. Okay, so don't worry, you people who think I haven't put the drop link in. Okay, right, okay, so we'll get that fitted. I might need my jack, but we're going to try it without and see how we go.
Enchanté.
Okay, so we're in the car now. Start the car, press the foot on the brakes. Oh, I can see the car going up and down. Okay, now let's see if she moves. Okay, and there you saw it, the car moves. No issues, there's a lot of buzzing and going on, but we can fix those and sort those out. I think those are the flaps going back and forth, but the main thing is it's moving, it's working, and no immediate issues, so that is a huge relief. So now we need to just get the bits and pieces that we need to complete the suspension, but I am really happy that we got all that moving. Okay, so I think we're gonna end it, and we'll do a bit of a summary of what we've done so far. Oh, if you're wondering about the front, to do the front we got to take the battery apart, because in order to take off this front, like I said, the pipes go through the frame there, as you can see, and if you can listen very carefully, you can probably just hear the fluid pumping through. So whenever the door gets open in this car, the cooling system will pump coolant through. So imagine if we undid that with it connected up, it's going to just spit fluid all over the place. That's just the car going down. Does some funny things, this car. So it's literally just lowered an inch. Right, okay. Whew. So that, in my opinion, is a major success. We've got the car running, it moves, that's the main thing. Now there's a lot of pumps going back and forth, and I think that the car needs to be bled. Well, it will need to be bled once we take the front end off. Now, with the Tesla, when I was charging it about a week or so ago, the fans are coming on really high. And what I've since discovered, looking at the workshop manuals online, that part of the cooling system uses the HVAC system, so the air conditioning system, and it super cools the coolant for the batteries, because when you're charging the batteries, they do heat up, particularly when you're supercharging. So that is the reason why I heard the fan coming on. And also the batteries are warming up and it was cutting off, because when it was hot during a week, it was obviously the batteries were exceeding their maximum temperature, and then they were doing a shutdown. So I had to keep resetting the charging, but at least we know that that is the reason why. And also, secondly, when I was stripping down the front, I realized because the pipes, strange design, because the pump cables on both the inlet and the outlet for the coolant system goes through the slam panel, the original aluminium one and the new plastic one that I've got to replace it. It means that we have to disconnect that, so we'll do that in the next episode, so that's quite important. Also, I wanted to address a couple of some of the questions that I've been getting on the comments from last week. So a lot of you were concerned about supercharging. Now, like I said, I've been given a good authority that supercharging actually is okay in the UK. It isn't in the US, but it is in the UK. But even if it wasn't, that is not an issue for me, because I get free charging at work, and that was the reason why I particularly wanted the Tesla, because with the GTE, literally I would get to work and home and that was it. It was basically flat. Whereas this, with a Tesla, it's going to give me a lot more range. So around about town, etc., even short journeys, it's going to be fine. So if I go on long journeys, I'll take the S3. If I can't get supercharging to work, and I suspect that there probably may be an issue in the future, but you'll know, I'll tell you if that's the case. But my understanding is because of GDPR, etc., and other European legislation, Tesla can't block supercharging even from salvage cars. But we'll keep you informed on that. But even if they do, it's not an issue for me, because I get free charging at work, and we've got three-phase 38 kilowatt chargers which charge the car in a matter of hours, because there's a few Teslas at work and they literally charge in a short period of time. So that's the main reason why I got this car. And actually tearing down the car and looking at the electrics on there, it is not a complex car at all. It's actually a lot easy to understand how it goes together and how it hangs together and how it works than you think it is. So very interesting. And I also found that there's a number of parts on the Tesla that are from other cars, and that'll probably be an episode that will reveal which are which. So for example, the gear selector is from a Mercedes, and the wheel hub bolts are shared by Mercedes and BMW. So there's a lot of parts that actually are interchanged between the two. So it's interesting now. Don't know whether that's the case on the old ones, but it is a case on this one. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this episode. Look forward to your comments below, but in the meantime, don't forget to like, share this video. If you're not a subscriber, click on the subscribe button down below and the bell notification so you're notified whenever we release a new new video. And yeah, so we'll look forward and we'll see you on the next one. And if you're wondering what's happening with the TTS, don't worry, we've not abandoned it. It will come back. I just need to get the Tesla running, because there's some other cars that are coming onto the channel very soon, and we need the Tesla running so that we can get those cars and the other car on the channel. So I'm in between cars, but the Tesla's got to get running so I can get back onto the TTS and get it out of the garage, and then I've got another car coming in as well. So there's lots of stuff for you to look forward to. We just need to juggle some balls, so don't worry, you TTS runners, people, you will see that car very soon. Plus, I'm still waiting for the pistons. They should be arriving tomorrow, I've been told. So we'll see. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next one.